Hello again. Well, I thought I'd better give you an update because else there might not be one if I wait till I get all this done. Anyway, it's been a couple of days. So what have I done? Quite a lot actually, but not much to show for it. Now I don't know if you can see, yeah, I'm sure you can. I managed to get the connecting rod done, look. And I thought, oh, I'll put those squirrels on. It looks quite nice, so that's pretty enough, isn't it? You know, we're not making a pretty little thing. Also, if you can, yeah, you should be able to see that there okay. I actually made a handmade square nut to go on the end of the crankshaft, you know, of the crankshaft journal. And it's a little bit long still. I can cut that tiny end off, but being as how it took me about, it's still not quite square, but it took me about an hour to try and square that up, so I don't want to take that off unless absolutely necessary. I also made a small brass washer to go on the back side. So we are getting there. I've also made a small pin from a screw. I was going to use that black rod, but I couldn't get one to fit. So how I've got it to work, I actually drilled from both sides, so it's not absolutely square, because I couldn't get anything that would hold in and was tight, and you know, there's lots of ways of doing it. Anyway, so that's why I haven't put the pin in. So that's one thing. You can probably just see a tiny hole there, and another one there. Let me come around this side. I think you can see it better there. So, bit of a nice touch. I thought I'd done some oil holes. How about that? So I've got oil holes in it. Now the spool valve. I started today with a big chunk. You've seen it, the one that was left. And I'm going to drill a hole in there, like that, so it will go in and out. Now it doesn't move very far, but the trouble is, as you know, not having reamers, is to get it without it leaking too much. Well, I've rechecked this brass rod today with my vernier, and these two are actually round. The reason I was going to use this originally, but then I found that it wasn't round. Well, these two are, and one is actually a thou bigger than the other, so we stand half a chance of that. The other thing is, I did make that to drive the spool valve. However, that wasn't square, so what I've done today as well, I've out of another decent chunk, I made that, not finished obviously, but just to show you what you have to do, I had to saw all the way around, and look, that's, you know, that's not too bad, is it? I haven't majored it or anything, I just sawed around the edge, and I've sawn a piece out there, because on the back side of it, the thing is, I might have to slot the hole to alter the length that the spool valve moves, and I couldn't do it if it was screwed in. And the other thing is that on that other one it wasn't true, so what I did with a decent piece, have I got anything? No, I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, this bit here, it wasn't like this. If you remember those ingots that I cast in that what is it, like that jam tart tray, I used one of those, and what I did, I put it on like that and clamped it, and I drilled through both holes. You know, I flatted that on the sander, on the belt sander first, and then put it on there and clamped it and drilled both holes in the same place, so we stand more of a chance, don't we now? Because the other one, it was drunk as a lord, it really was. So that obviously needs a lot of work. You know, I don't know, I might even leave it square. just for fun. Take the edges off obviously and tidy it up. And using the Dremel, that has to go on the inside, and the cap screw has to go in there like that to hold that pipe on. So using the Dremel I'm going to have to just round it out. I mean, this is nearly I told you my freehand skills are very lacking. However, you know, no, we can't make a hand-built Swiss watch, you know, using hand tools, I'm afraid. Some people can, you know, before machinery they could do it. I can't. Anyway, I'll just have to round that out slightly there, and that will go in, and then it won't stick into the job, will it? You know, that'll be flush. And then I think another of those little brass nuts on that'll look nice when I get that all filed and done and sanded up. And a piece of that rod that didn't work last time, again, like I said, when you make things you always have to do things 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 or 5 times. So I did make that piece, which hasn't worked, to drive the spool valve. So that's like the crank journal to drive the spool valve, if you like. So that's another thing that we've got done. Here's a chunk, look, you see that? Well, I cut through that far with the angle grinder and a cutting disc, but I couldn't get all the way, so I then had to hand saw the rest of that. And trust me, it's a marathon job, all this blooming axling is. Even though it's aluminium, could be worse, it could be steel. That steel block, by the way, is just for a weight, because if I take it off it tips up. So that's it. Now the next thing to tell you is the operation. Now with a steam engine, and you can look at any one, I've looked at videos just to refresh my memory. See, it's not an internal combustion engine, it's an external combustion engine. And the piston, so if the steam should come in there, really. So the piston blocks it. So what happens is, it unblocks the hole, the steam comes in, forces the piston down, it then you then shut with the spool valve, you then shut the steam inlet port, the piston goes around the bottom, well you open the exhaust port actually just before the bottom, the piston goes up until it hits that hole again, forcing the steam out. So in actual fact you're only using the bottom bit. Well, there might be a way actually I can do it, but so what I'm saying is, to get it running at the end we may have to do major alteration to it. I don't know, it's only got to turn itself, you know, but it may turn, it may not. But it's not about that, is it? It's not about that. It's about making these silly videos. It's about melting alley cans down and making my furnace, which I've done. You've seen it. And I think we've had a surprisingly good result from it. You know, I wasn't intending quite going to this trouble, but you know, I think we've got on. The only thing I said was that the flywheel has to be true, and you've seen it turn, and it is relatively true. It's certainly, well, I've got to rebalance it again with these pieces on, but basically you take the crankshaft spindle. When I've made the, you know, the spool valve crank bit, I've got to rebalance it again, and I'll do that this time, moving these nuts in and out slightly. You don't need to see that, but I mean, that's intricate work there. I'm going to get my pointer again, this Allen key. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, look, to fit that I had to put that bit on, which I didn't expect to. I had to remake that piece in there, if you remember, which didn't quite work, to get it square because it's moving on the shaft. So I had to put that on. That hardly left room for that, but it has done. Then I've had to cut that out to make it fit, and it's all close tolerances, you know. It's a feat, and honestly, genuinely, it's quite a feat. and it's coming on. So what can we say? One step forward, one step back, I don't know. But we're sort of getting there. But as I say, to get it to run, it's going to be difficult. Now, there are videos that show you the operation of a steam engine, but if I just tell you briefly what happens, you know, it's so simple. I'll just tell you briefly. I'll tell you what, I need two hands, don't I? And instead of going in the vice, because they're all in the vice, aren't they? I'll put that like that, there. Right. What happens is, imagine, if you can, that that's the spool valve, and there is a pipe that comes from there to the top of the head or in the side. Don't matter which. Right. So what happens is, the piston comes up on the exhaust stroke, so the exhaust, the pipe is open to the exhaust. So in other words, the spool valve is this side of the hole that goes from there. Sorry, it's that side one. I must get it right. The steam is this side one. We'll put it there for argument's sake. Put it there. So you've got a pipe going from there to the cylinder. It can be either in the side or in the head. Like I said, it should be in the side so the piston blanks it off, but we're trying it in the head. If it doesn't work, we'll have another idea. But so what happens is, that spool valve is the bottom side, allowing the piston, which starts lower down. That won't stand up very well because I haven't. It's got a narrow head. In fact, if I do it that way, I'll put it upside down because it'll stand up and just pretend it's the other way up. So there's a pipe there that's open, right, up to there, and it starts at the bottom. I haven't got a pin in it at the moment. You can see how temperamental this is. Look, I'm just holding that. I took this off, by the way, and it took me an hour of filing and sanding to get it to go around again. And it's tight at the moment. That's free in there. It's tight at the moment because I've had it all off. It'll come out, look. There we are. Right, that's at the bottom, I know it is. So, sort of starting again. Oh. You see? No, start there. Right. So, what happens is, you have a rod that is on a crank that side, and it opens the hole about there. So it then goes up like that until it gets to about there, when this side has pushed it and it's closed the hole. So then you go past it, because remember it's a external combustion engine, not an internal one. And when it gets to about there, this rod is now going in, and the steam port is there, and that rod has either a bit turned off it, or in my case I'm going to do a flat. Right, so we haven't got anything, have we? But I'm sure you get what I mean. So what I'm going to do is do a flat on it. I don't know how close I can get with this to show you, but just imagine that we've cut a bit off like that, and down the middle, pencil won't draw, like that. So that bit there is cut out, right? So as it goes, this is now going in like that. It's closed the hole, right, as it goes in, it opens the hole there, and in other words, it joins these two pipes because the steam is going in here. Now all this, as I say, I've got to work out the sizes and everything. So the steam goes in, back down the pipe, and of course it forces the piston down to the bottom again when the whole process starts again. I ought to just put a pin in there, it would have been easier. But anyway, I think you get the general idea. I think you might just get the general idea. But like I said, it could be that in the head it's not going to work at all. You know, but it's, you know, it's not about it working. You know, steam engine's been around since, what, 1700s is it? Whenever, James, what did it? I can't remember. Tell me. Go on, put a comment in. Tell me when it was made to save me looking it up. Anyway, the operation is well known. And it's not about that, but it's all about getting some drink cans, making my furnace, melting them down, making some ingots, cutting it up and putting it together. You know, as a half decent job. I won't say a decent job, a half decent job. And I think you must agree, you know, we've not done too badly so far, given what I've got to use. So there we are. As I said, the reason I'm doing this update today is because you'll there might not, if I hadn't done it today, you know, I mean, it's been 2 days now. Well, the time I get this spool valve done, which is going to be a tricky job, because I've got to finish that mount that I'm making tomorrow. Then I've got to drill the hole in here, and hopefully that drill will work. I'm going to have to have a test on it first, probably on one of these pieces. So I'm going to have to drill a hole, because we know that we can get an accurate hole because I've done that distance, but I've not done that distance, right? Well, about that, I think. I'm not having a hole in the end, you know. I'm having the pipe come out the top, so you've got the steam pipe and the exhaust. So there'll actually be 3, won't there? I was saying 2. There'll be 3 along here, you know, and then we'll see how it goes. But anyway, like I said, I may have to go and borrow a reamer to get it right. It'll work, it'll go in and out, but whether it'll be close enough not to leak too much, you know. But it's not about that. I'm just have to stress this. It's all about making a model steam engine from drink cans. And we're nearly there. So, you know, I'm sorry to keep going on about this, but I'm trying to impress on you that it's not about making a little steam engine that works and that. It will go round. I'll get it to go round. But it might be, you know, I might have to remake some of it or all of it or compromise, you know. Because if, as I say, I have thought of a way I can do it. I mean, I can definitely get it to work by altering things. And with having a liner, you see, I was going to put the pipe drill a hole through there, into the block. You know, into the cylinder. I can't do that the way it is. But what I could do probably is get a very small, I don't know, say a bolt, something like that, because I showed you the pipe that I'm using. I did have a small piece. I'll show you this piece. So if we drill a hole in the side, because the problem is I can't put something in, can I? Because the piston runs past it. It's got to block it, so I can only have a hole that I can file out in that thing. So then I've got to attach that to it. So I might have to make a very small piece of steel with a hole in it and shape it, solder it onto the side of that liner and then fasten this into it. Might have to solder it in at the same time, or I might have to join it, I don't know. But that's all in the future. Like I said, it's all about doing it. But you see, things come together, because just to show you again, that connecting rod looks rather nice now, doesn't it? With those squirrels on it, even better than the thing. So, although I didn't want to do one this way, that's come alright, you know. So that's it. Long enough for me waffling. You're bound to be fed up of me waffling, but as I say, it was just that if I didn't do it today, there might be a few days and you'd think, oh, I've given up or died or something. Never mind. Alright, thanks a lot. Cheers.